What's going on, guys? Still in here. Today we'll be going over a ticker symbol analysis on the ticker symbol PLTR, Palantir. Palantir is really consolidating at a major point, guys. Stock price really needs to make a move in the next few days and or weeks to really depict the trend, as we are back at these major swing highs, breaking out of the scalp and handle. Right, we won't get into the daily analysis now, guys, but there's a lot of major signs that we want to come on here and chart. So with that being said, guys, we'll get a non-biased perspective of what the stock price is looking like for the next few days and or weeks. Let's start our analysis off from a broad, plain eye perspective on the weekly time frame. Alrighty, guys, on the weekly time frame, we do have a very, very interesting image here. As we have candles getting very, very thin, consolidating, being very, very indecisive, within these highs, you don't expect it, guys. As we currently are pressed against the most important spot on the weekly chart. We have two marker points. We have one down here being these major highs, stock pressed up against for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks out of 10 in this phase, right? Then we have boom, big explosive move to these highs. And these highs are very, very major, guys. Despite having these very major highs, stock is only held there for a couple days. When we look over to the daily, we really only have 1 to 2 days in these big nasty regions over here where stock is currently playing out now. So to see price, hold there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 weeks, it really tells you what you need to know as far as what this next move will be, whether that is up or that is down, guys, right? As energy is building. So, having these higher wicks pressed up more and more and more, ascending into this resistance level will make the structure bullish, guys, as we're clearly ascending into this resistance. Yes, we are in a high fear moment for buyers, supposed to be, as sellers should step up in these regions. But as of now, guys, buyers continue to move the stock up, having these wicks move up higher. So despite having some indecision candles within these highs, having a doji candle here, and having a hammer candle of some S with a larger body and a smaller wick. These candles do form indecision, guys, but considering where these lows are ascending, guys, definitely got to go bullish on the current weekly structure. And the second point of reference we will take on the weekly time frame, which is so simple, guys, that we do this with every single stock, as this will save you a lot of money if you're a trader, or give you the very broad perspective if you're an investor. The stock is clearly ascending up. Right, we take that arrow to roughly the bottom of this movement all the way to the top, guys, and it gives us a clear gauge of where the weekly trend is. So the overall weekly trend is bullish. We are moving higher with higher lows and highs. Yes, we currently are moved right back to this very major spot, but stock continues to hold where technically it shouldn't. So energy is definitely building within the market, guys. You would imagine if these lows do get taken out below this wick over here around that 120 zone, right? Maybe we do get that sweep, as then in that instance, we've retracted from 1 and 2 weekly wicks. Then from that point of view, maybe you see this, downfall start to play out, despite having a little bit of a false breakout with this, nice green candle here. Most times than not, after pausing, like we did at these major highs with the setup we had, you do just go. But it didn't happen, and to see stock continue to stay strong, even after this false breakout, buyer presence is definitely available, guys. We definitely see that very clearly. So from a weekly perspective, guys, definitely have to remain bullish on Palantir. Let's go move over to the data. Massive cup and handle on the daily time frame. Being this massive cup starting around February, this 125 levels, we got crushed all the way down to this major support level in 1 day, guys. After having very bullish price action, being these very exciting week and a half in Palantir after this major gap up. And since that spot, we actually seen this cup and handle start to form out. Sellers won this battle, pushing the stock down, forming right that half of the cup. Then stock curls back around. The buyers win these battles down to these lows, pushing the stock all the way back up to where it started initially, right at the quote unquote neckline, they call it. Stock goes sideways, forming one more last pause before deciding the trend. And the buyers do win, guys, breaking the top of this neckline, being that 120 resistance marker. And then from there, guys, we got two green candles before seeing this consolidation, of course. But before this consolidation and this slight retracement back to the 120 neckline area, we've seen on the chart, guys, some top out areas. And if you follow the channel, we mentioned how since we broke out of this cup and handle, we set a wick here, 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 and here, being 4 days of price action, confluence right at this very important neckline area, holding the stock, right? So we really knew that we needed to break over that level, being 130.65. We didn't get that break. Pulled back down the neckline, consolidated for a couple of days, had a pretty nasty candle, pushing back on that major 120 level. And that's when we made that video, really talking, guys, and mentioning how this level needed to be held for many reasons. And then in that spot, guys, we're kind of just consolidating at this level. So that leads back to a prior point, guys. We're in a very major spot because, stock is a triple confirmation setup. So being this major ascending support, we clearly do see many, many touch points, guys. Whenever stock has come down to this rough area within the last few months, stock has just really picked up. It's been very, very nice. And perhaps that has been why stock has been able to hold these levels, as we see that ascending support in that rough area. And you can chart it out a couple of different ways, guys. But we have this rough trend moving up, and you could take the top of the trend lines too. I don't hate that at all, guys. This definitely is some esque of a channel moving up into this very exciting moment. So, stock coming back down, failing at the neckline before really coming back down at that 120 level. It lets you know that the next move will be violent, guys, as there's been a week of consolidation after this major breakout level with a failed hold of this neckline. So, although we are seeing stock stutter when technically it shouldn't, it is hard to be bearish. Of course, having this very, very strong ascending support moving up, right? And the buyers have done their job, guys. They've held the 120 level, right? When we do see 120 being swept, then within that logic, guys, we do definitely have room to 115. And then in that case scenario with a different image, its stock completely broke below these cup and handle restraints. And this kind of pattern, guys, can really yield nice results, as this has been forming since February. So if we take a move into the bottom, all the way to the top and get about a 50% retracement of that, you would expect stock price to get, to these 150 levels. I think that's being conservative as well. So stock is definitely a little bit of a sandwich on the daily, having these tight candles, descendingly moving down slowly, but not really much of a, retracement, more or less just a very tight descending channel, not really a pullback. And we're sandwiched between that 120 neckline of this handle and the neckline of the top of this major breakout level being that cup and handle, guys. So we definitely do have an interesting image on the daily time frame. We don't expect stock to play out too much longer in this, especially according to this descending support, right? It has to choose whether it's going to bounce at the spot that it's been chilling for 1, 2, 3, 4 days, or maybe we go below, right, and test these 115, maybe 108, 50, perhaps levels, guys. With that being said, though, if we zoom way, way out on the daily, of course, we are moving up, guys. Moving back to this marker point, the stock has set these lows and highs, moving in a higher direction. So overall, guys, even though we are seeing stock stutter, at a very major, major spot, I can't help but lean, bullish, guys. I definitely think, there's more of a chance we do push up higher, replaying these levels above being that 125 zone. 125 held nice, guys. Then we're coming up to test that 130.65, which really was, the spot where we stuttered last. So it is a little bit of a complex image, being that stock is, at a spot where it typically doesn't come down to. But considering the overall trend is descending support and that 120 strong support being bounced around for a couple days, guys, I got to lean bullish. But if we do break that 120, I will change my short-term bias to bearish. So we'll let the stock decide. But with that being said, I think we got what we need to get out of the daily. Let's go move over to the hourly for a little bit more of a short-term analysis, and then we'll wrap up the video. So on the hourly time frame, guys, we do have a couple interesting images, but for the most part, we'll keep it simple, as a lot of this does retract back to the daily and the hourly. But first of all, guys, something we do see, which is very, very obvious, the stock is moving down in this descending channel, which we've been mentioning, guys, since we initially broke out. Right, when we broke out from this handle, moving down, a little bit of the double confirmation being this other cup and handle in the hourly. But, that is behind us, guys. So we did see that explosive move up. But then stock started to pull down with a clear descending resistance being this marker point, which we did have on the stock. Never ended up getting over that. So that ended up transferring over to this white line, being just a very, very staple for the stock, guys. When we zoom in, you really see that stock is really pressed up within these constraints. You know, whenever stock gets to this point, it gets immediately stuffed down. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4, 5, 6 hour, 7 hour, 8 hour. Gets over it for 1, 2 hours before having a fake breakout. Let's go highlight that, guys. Right, that doesn't invalidate this level. If anything, it held it for 1 hour, right, coming down with that nice big wick and then flushing below it. So you clearly see, guys, this level has to be held strong before Palantir can make its next move up. But with that being said, guys, you clearly see it's getting very, very tight, moving into this descending support. So stock definitely has to make a move soon. This is another sign where friction is building within the market pool, right? If we do break these 120 levels, then at that point, we will be exiting this descending channel, likely with more energy to move down. But on the inverse, if stock does break this descending resistance strong, right, not like a little false breakout like we had here, then at that point, stock has a lot of extra energy being in this very, very tight channel for the last, say, 130 hours within the trading market. So definitely a very interesting hourly chart, but for the most part, guys, we are just seeing that very, very tight channel. So this leads into our conclusion, guys. You know, stock is very, very tight at this major 120 level, reapproaching that neckline of this handle. So if you're a bull, you want to see stock get back up, reclaim the tops over here, being that 125 general gauge, being this red box. That 125, guys, maybe going up to as high as 126. If we do reclaim that, that looks great, guys, but we have to break over these tops, which we previously stuttered at. So if we can get over 130.65, get over that neckline, 120.65, 125, 126. Then at that point, guys, stock looks very, very nice as we had a week to build in this descending channel, coming back down to these major support levels, picking up buyers before moving up higher. Overall, I will be leaning bullish, but I'm a non-biased trader, guys. If we do see the drop of this ascending support, this 120 neckline level, and that overall support being that 120, you would expect at least a movement down to 115 before buyers can step up again. And I think 115 would be a little bit conservative, guys, to be honest. You know, it is a little bit more likely maybe we come down to 110, 108.46 if we flush, because then at that point we would be failing this very, very big, arguably weekly cup and handle, more or less daily. But we're seeing a lot of candles to structure this move, guys, and Palantir has remained a strong stock, so it definitely wants to go. But as of now, we'll see what happens between these two sandwich spots. With that being said, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe if you found value. Be going over Palantir a couple times a week. Have a good day. Take care and goodbye.